It's 3 a.m. in Los Angeles, California. At a local apartment complex, a door is kicked open. Inside the room is Diego, a 28-year-old Venezuelan. He's a fictional character we created to better tell the story. Diego is covered with tattoos and doesn't understand English very well. He barely has time to react. Officers swarm the room and grab him from behind. Diego is part of a massive Venezuelan gang operation across the world known as Tren de Aragua. They are notorious for assassinations, human trafficking, and complex drug deals. He's not the only one. Right now, all across America, hundreds of gang members are being raided at this very moment. This is all part of President Trump's effort to cleanse the country of illegal criminals. Diego is loaded into a van and driven to an undisclosed location. When he arrives, he notices he's at an airport. He is escorted to the plane and is forced to board. It's a full flight. As the doors close, he assumes he's being deported. Only, this plane isn't headed to his home country. It's taking them somewhere far worse. A Salvadorian prison where gang members are locked away for life and will never see the light of day. CECOT. CECOT is the harshest maximum security prison on the American continent. It's the result of years of violence and corruption by gangs. For over a decade, gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18 have controlled the country. Diego is brought in through the front gates. He arrives shirtless, handcuffed, and shackled at the ankles. Guards force him to run out of the bus crouching down to prevent any possible resistance. They strip search him and photograph any tattoos. Inmates are also x-rayed to prevent weapons from being brought in. Once inside, he shares a cell with 100 other inmates. Diego claims he's innocent. Many do. While arrested, it is decided if that person will wait 2 years in pretrial detention. Because of the mass arrest, judges hold trials and decide the fate of up to 1,000 people at a time. Most times, people awaiting pretrial spend at least a year in jail. It's estimated that 1 in 3 inmates are actually innocent. At its peak in 2015, El Salvador saw an average of 18 homicides per day. That's more than 6,600 deaths per year. With a population of only 6 million, this made the country the most violent in the world. To put this into perspective, the United States has a population of 360 million, but annual gang-related deaths of 3,230. That's 2 times the deaths for a country 60 times smaller. But this all changed in 2019, when the country elected Nayib Bukele, the youngest president in the nation's history. At just 37, Bukele promised to turn the country around. He forms a new political party called Nuevas Ideas, New Ideas. Unlike most politicians, he uses TikTok and Twitter to connect with young voters. His stance against gang violence becomes popular. In his first year in office, Bukele made it clear that his primary goal was to reclaim the streets from the gang control. On March 26, the gangs retaliate by killing 60 civilians in a single day. In response, Bukele declares the country under a state of emergency and deploys the military to patrol the streets. He also punished the gangs on the inside by withholding all proteins. Meals consisted of only rice and tortillas. This militarization of law enforcement was a big shift. They deployed assault weapons, armored vehicles, helicopters, and even drones. By declaring a state of emergency, the military was able to arrest people without a warrant for up to 15 days. The military must meet strict arrest quotas. The main way to identify gang members is through tattoos. Gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18 mark their members with tattoos that symbolize their affiliation and rank. They're usually found on the face, neck, or arms. The most common symbols are the letters MS or number 13, with the number 13 representing the 13th letter of the alphabet, letter M. A face tattoo reading La Mara means they're a senior member and can only be earned after committing murder. Barrio 18 members also use number 18 or Roman numerals. These tattoos are not just marks, they represent their service to the gang and thousands of innocent lives taken. Bukele classifies gangs as terrorist organizations. To destroy gang operations, he designed CECOT, a prison designed to isolate and break the most dangerous of criminals. Before this, gang members lived luxurious lives in prisons. They had access to cell phones, internet, and even prostitutes. Prison guards were often bribed with cash for special treatment. Gang leaders could still execute operations, drug deals, and even murders from their cells. One of CECOT's main goals was to stop the gang extortions. Small businesses and everyday civilians were forced to pay gang fees in exchange for protection or simply to avoid violence. Those who couldn't pay were often threatened, attacked, and even killed. In one example of extortions, an elderly woman was unable to pay the tax. Her two nephews, being gang members, cut her hands off. This is just one of millions of cases where the gangs force civilians into fear and submission. If you ask me, that's pretty f***ed up. CECOT is built to house up to 40,000 inmates. There are 2 guards for every 40 prisoners. The facility is over 500,000 square feet. It's surrounded by 19 guard towers, 2 30-foot walls, and electrified fences designed to prevent any escape. Inside, the prison is divided into 8 blocks, each containing cells that hold up to 100 inmates. Each cell has 2 toilets, 2 wash bins, and 2 guards standing outside. Inmates are under constant surveillance. Solitary confinement is much worse. Cells are pitch black, and no light will ever enter the cell other than a little hole up top. Inside is a concrete bench, a toilet, and a wash bin. Inmates are kept in isolation for up to 15 days, completely cut off from the outside world. This form of isolation is meant to break down gang members. For the first time in decades, El Salvador feels safe. Kids go back to school, and parents no longer fear letting them go outside. Parks that were once gang territory become filled with soccer games and laughter. People ride the bus without looking over their shoulder. For many families, staying in El Salvador was no longer a death sentence. Because of this, Bukele becomes even more popular. People demand another term, but the Salvadorian constitution prohibits presidents from serving 2 consecutive terms. So in response, citizens vote to change the constitution. President Nayib Bukele is re-elected, winning 84% of the vote. In other countries, they praise Bukele for his success with the war on gangs. The United States is especially impressed by Bukele's efforts. In 2025, Bukele solidified a relationship with US President Donald Trump. Bukele offers CECOT as a facility to house deported gang members from the US. In recent years, the United States has faced an illegal migration crisis. Among those migrants, a significant number are suspected gang members. Surprisingly, Trump accepts the offer. The exchange includes a $6 million payment to house Diego and 237 individuals, primarily from Venezuela and El Salvador. Because of this, the United States becomes even more polarized. Critics argue that this form of punishment denies people of their due process. Due process is simple. It's the idea that everyone deserves a fair trial. It's the right to an attorney, the chance to present evidence, and innocent until proven guilty. For American citizens, at least. It's the backbone of the American justice system. But under this new policy, that backbone may be bending. Most of the men sent to CECOT will never see a courtroom. No jury, no legal counsel, just a one-way ticket to a foreign prison. And yet, somehow, support for the program is rising. Human rights organizations accuse Bukele of being a dictator and stripping civilians of their rights. But for decades, Salvadorans feared being murdered in their own neighborhoods, so fearing a dictatorship feels like a luxury. With El Salvador finally safe for families, you have to ask, who are the people fleeing today? El Salvador's growth is something the US is hoping to learn from. In America, every time a violent crime is committed by an undocumented migrant, the headlines explode. For many, this isn't about fairness anymore, it's about safety. One side fears chaos without control, the other fears control without justice, and in the middle are men like Diego, caught between 2 countries, claimed by neither, and punished by both.